Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse, the show that keeps its finger on the pulse of Lowell and the world around it. Going to do a lot of both here on today's show. It's Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. I'm Teddy Panos, your host, joined today in the WellPoint studios by a couple of familiar faces here at Inside Lowell and in the city of Lowell and beyond in general. Off to the left, sitting in Bill Samaras' normal seat.
Nice spot.
I know.
But you may have to leave us early if Bill and I still want to get into some details here. So, because you're an important guy.
I have a showing today in Somerville, and with the snow last night, it's going to take a little extra time to get there.
Real estate Ray Booten, who you're probably familiar with if you watch the Daily Pulse. I'm guessing a good chunk of my audience could probably read the advertisement, by themselves.
That's all right. You can do it.
I know we most certainly will. You paid for it.
I love it. I'm happy to do it, Teddy, and I'm glad.
All right. Well, we check in periodically with you to talk about some of your listings, but also the housing market in general. And of course, we know you're a little bit of a political junkie in Lowell, Drake, and beyond. So lots to talk about with you. Thank you for being here. Former Lowell Mayor Bill Samaras off to the right of your digital device. How are you today, sir? Does it feel a little different? Does it look a little different looking at me from that angle?
I'm having a hard time.
Wow.
I feel disoriented.
Sorry, Bill. Sorry. I might have to take call it the Irish goodbye.
I didn't want Ray to trip over you as he has to run out to his next show. Well, actually, it's not even a showing, right? It
is a showing.
Oh, it is? Yeah. Okay. Because you talked about Somerville, but I noticed you got 1, 2, 3, 4 other listings that you want to talk about that are coming up, and none of them say Somerville. So.
Yeah, no, that's the one. It's 6 family I have out there.
Yeah, and you still have the Club Diner. We'll talk about all of those. First, let me thank my Daily Pulse sponsor. Hey, looky here. It's Ray Booten, licensed realtor in Mass and New Hampshire, certified appraiser in both of those states as well. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, or a commercial property, there's really only one person you should contact. He's the guy, Real Estate Ray Booten. You can find him online at realestaterayBooten.com. That's realestaterayBooten.com. We're going to give you some of his listings in a quick second here. I also want to thank our friends at WellPoint for hosting us here in the WellPoint studios. It's the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Thank you, WellPoint. Thank you, Ray. Other podcast sponsors scrolling across your screen there. Pay attention to them from time to time. We'll give you a little more information about each and every one of them. But let's get right down to it. All right, let's talk first of all about your listings. Okay. You said you got a new one that's debuting. Is it today? Tomorrow? Tomorrow. All right, we'll put it up on our Inside Lowell Facebook page as well. Absolutely. But somebody wants to be my neighbor out there in Chelmsford?
South Chelmsford. So a little bit further away, off Boston Road. It's on Parker Road.
Okay.
So it's
close, but far enough away that
close, but far enough that
I won't come ask for a cup of sugar from them,
or the values won't be affected. The Panos bump, as we all know.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Jerry Nutter did a great column on you.
I'm told I got some rich Canadian friends, so
we'll see.
So maybe I can get one of them to buy.
Maybe. So, if they need someone to find him a house locally, please.
I'll recommend.
I'd be happy.
I'll recommend you. South Chelmsford.
Yep, South Chelmsford. It's a 3-bedroom, 2 full bath cape. It was expanded. It has a finished lower level with a great family room down there. Plenty of off-street parking, updated kitchen, granite counters, stainless steel appliances, huge open concept between the kitchen, dining area, family room, fireplace in the family room. It's just a great property. So very happy. It's going to be mid-7s too. So
I was going to ask what's it being listed at.
Not crazy. I mean, in Chelmsford, believe it or not.
Mid-7s Chelmsord is
still a first-time home buyer market.
It's amazing, when you're saying good price.
Yeah, so that's coming on. I mean, the roof's in great shape. It's just a beautiful property.
All right, awesome. You've got, for people thinking about Chelmsford's rival on Turkey Day, Billerica. You got one in Billerica?
I got one in Billerica coming on, kind of off, closer to Burlington. So that's going to be coming on. That could be 2 or 3 weeks coming on. That's going to be a starter, I think, under $500,000. So 2-3-bedroom house with, I think, a bath and a half, two baths. So that's coming on. I got a 2-family in the Highlands that's coming on next week. That's
Highlands
going to be
neighborhood of
mid
Lowell?
500s. It's a small 1 or 2 bedroom on the second floor, 1 bedroom on the first floor. I've got one in Pawtuckaville also coming on the market next week. That's on the between Mammoth Road and West Meadow, or the hospital. That's going to be coming on the market. I've got a Nashua single family. I'm meeting the people next week. I've got a Hudson condo over 55 that'll be probably in about a month and a half. And then another one in Centerville that I'm working on, Christian Hill.
What's that old saying? He's busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
Well, I can't go on any more vacations.
But
you know what?
You move this many properties over the next month or two, and you'll be going on the mother of all vacations.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
A cruise around the world. Jeez, just stay out of the Middle East, please.
I actually got stranded. I was telling Bill outside. We went on a cruise, school vacation week with my wife. We went down to San Juan a couple days early, got on the cruise, Sunday to Sunday. Saturday night, we get a text. They're canceling our flight from San Juan to Boston that was going to get back in Boston at 5:45 because the snow was coming 12 hours later. It was an absolute horror show.
Yeah, they don't want to
shit
get
show.
They get nervous about getting there. Yeah, you can say shit show. This
Yeah,
isn't the radio.
great. Well, I actually say that on the radio too.
I don't think
I get in trouble, but I do it.
No, they want to. I don't think they want to get their plane stranded in an airport that's going to get hit. So Boston is a bad place.
How
to be.
would getting me at 5:45 there, and then there was a flight after leaving there, stranding them, and then they didn't add any extra flights. And I had a couple of friends, family members, clients say like, "Oh, you got stranded in San Juan." I'm like, "No, it wasn't like that." My wife and I are at lunch on our phones. We're at dinner on our phones, trying to find a flight out. You pack Saturday night. You have to pack up the rest Sunday morning to get off the ship. Then we had to stay in San Juan. You unpack at a new hotel, pack up again Monday morning. We flew to Orlando.
I think I know people that were on your cruise.
Really?
Yes, because they were telling a similar story about getting stranded, and they ended up staying an extra night. But we'll talk about that.
All right,
after.
sounds good.
They're very friendly with if it's who I think it is. They're very friendly with the person who you had a showing with yesterday.
Oh, okay.
But
Cool.
it's kind of hard to feel really very sympathetic when we were stranded in the snowstorm and you were stranded.
Right, people
a sunny
people
area,
left their
we'll say.
cars on the off ramps down on Route 24. Ray had to be interrupted by tapping at his phone during lunch in San Juan. I feel for you. I
had to put sunscreen on like 3 times.
Oh my Lord!
Awful. No, I got to tell you.
You're right. I feel bad now.
I got to tell you.
I can do this on the podcast.
So I'm turning into an old man because I said to a couple of clients, I said, I get it, but I've been gone 9 days. I want to sleep in my own bed. And I want to snowblow my driveway the way I like. My neighbor came over and did it, which did a great job.
Did he chew up your lawn?
No, but he didn't go far enough over it. He didn't do it the way I do it. He didn't put the snow where I'm turning into a freaking old man.
We all turn into
turning
our
60 this year.
We all turn into our
I'm there.
fathers.
I'm there.
So all right. I said Club Diner. That's still on the market here.
It is. I had somebody lined up for it. They bailed, but the article that Melanie Gilbert did, fabulous job. I got 7 or 8 phone calls from it. Just showed it to someone last night, but I have somebody very interested. We're negotiating right now, and I think in a week I can tell you that it's moving forward, and it's somebody well known through the city that is going to do a great job with it. So I'm very excited.
We were talking about it Saturday night at the Athenian. We were kind of hungry at 1 o'clock after working our tails off after Winterfest. And I'm like, I miss the days when we could close at 2:30 and walk up and have Branch, insult me and serve me a really delicious breakfast. Yeah. And somebody please buy that thing and open it up so I can get my Athenian crew there every Saturday.
I'll hold you to it.
All right. So if folks do want to learn more about any of these listings, any you have coming up, or if they want to sell their own property, both residential, commercial, how do they get in touch with you, Mr. Booten?
Please give me a call. No obligation. You have a real estate question or you need help. Ray Booten, I'm at 978-502-8352. 978-502-8352. And thanks to this guy, I got the website, realestaterayBooten.com.
All right.
Thank you, Teddy.
Housing market in general. We look across America. We're hearing interest rates are coming down. We're hearing things have plateaued. Is that the case here in Greater Lowell? Is that the case in Massachusetts New England. What is going on there? What's your now 3 decades plus of experience tell you about the housing market in general?
It's absolutely horrible. The new term is clickbait. I don't know if they've added that to the Webster's dictionary yet, but it's awful. Oh, housing down. Well, there's less sales because there's less properties on the market, but they forget to tell you that the values keep increasing. So, you know, kids that want to buy a house, you know, $500,000, if things went up 3 to 5% last year, let's call it 4%. If you buy a house at $500,000 last year, it's worth 4% more this year. That's $20,000. Are you going to be able to save $1,600 or $1,700 a month if you want to wait a year? And then the gloom and doom, oh, the poor kids can't buy houses. The poor kids can't buy houses. They can. They can go to Leominster. They can go to Fitchburg. They can go to northern parts of New Hampshire. Think of 30 years ago when people in Somerville started to whine, or 20 years ago when people in Somerville and Cambridge were whining. Yeah. My kids can't afford to buy a house in Somerville. Well, you're right. They had to move out to Wakefield.
Not anymore.
And now the ones in Wakefield are moving up to Greater Lowell. And now the kids in Greater Lowell that can't afford a house here are going to have to go north or out further. So this is gentrification. This is just normal growth. And when you have costs, I use this example a lot. 5, 6, 7 years ago, you could get a 200 amp service for about $1,600, $1,700 with a good electrician. Now it's $4,000 if you can get the parts. So the cost of housing to build, you're not building $450,000 ranches anymore.
But aren't there
around here
Lowell Housing Authority units that we're talking about and celebrating, and that it's like $700,000 a unit?
Yeah.
And they call it affordable housing.
Yeah.
It's not affordable, folks. If somebody's paying it for you, my mortgage is very affordable when somebody else pays for it. But if I have to pay for it, ditto with the housing. It's like,
absolutely.
if it costs you $700,000 to build a unit, it's not going to be affordable for somebody.
I want to get a little controversial.
You?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'll call it like it is. They've reported that they've deported, or people have left. 3 million people have left the country, whether illegal aliens, undocumented, whatever you want to call it. Understand that if that continues, 3 million every year, it will ease the housing pinch that you have right now. The second thing, when we talk about New England, our values continue to grow, anywhere from 3 to 6%. On a new first-time homebuyer program, you have to understand, you have first-time homebuyers coming into that first ranch, but you have the 2,800 square foot person in their 60s or 70s that still wants a house.
Sure.
So it's kind of the sandwich. People are going for that. That's going to see a higher rate of appreciation than the 2,800 square foot house. Back in the 2000s, everybody wanted a McMansion. Was the thing, right? That isn't happening anymore. I see people wanting a better quality of life. People used to flip their houses every 7 years. Now I think it's up to 13. First-time home buyers were in their 30s. Now the majority are in their 40s. So things are changing. People are selling those second homes that everybody wanted. Florida, you're seeing a lot of properties on the market.
Yep.
Waterfront, water view, not touched. That market is still hot. So hot as hell. And
despite
anybody that tells you
change.
the
seas
change.
are rising. I don't know why people are paying millions of dollars to live on the sea when they're going to be underwater
or
in 2
Nantucket
years.
But let me ask this: costs are going up. I mean, if you're talking condos and things like that, you're talking about fees, but fees that are going up very high. The issue is you talked about the interest rate going down, but last night they started saying because of issues with Iran, the fees are now going to turn around and go back up. So talk about a market that's volatile.
Excellent point, Bill. Typically, when you've seen crisis around the world, and people sell their stocks, they buy bonds, which lowers the yield of bonds, and that's what affects mortgage rates, the long-term interest rates. But because it was the Strait of Hormuz,
The Strait of Hormuz.
they were concerned that the oil prices going up would have an inflationary effect. And the cost of energy goes up, and everything goes up. Baking bread, just everything you can think of. So instead of the mortgage rates going down because they think of appreciation, the bonds have gone up. Now, if they get this settled, I heard Trump is now bringing their ships, escorting ships out, and that could help lower the price back down. maybe bonds will drop down. But you're right. Last week they talked about finally under 6 for the average.
Yeah, right.
And then this happens, and Friday
goes back
night,
up.
Trump says, no, we need higher interest rates, so he bombed Iran. Or at least that's what the naysayers say. You look at it, and it's happening. But think of every other, conflict that we've been in. We've bombed Iran, Obama, Biden. They've bombed other places. The market tanks, goes up, down a little bit, and it usually goes right back up. So we'll see. But that's what's happening with interest rates right now. Is it going to matter an eighth of a point, quarter of a point? Not. But if rates ever do drop down to 5.5%, the 4% we've seen year over year will go higher because people will have more buying power. At least that's my opinion.
All right. Real estate Ray Booten. He is our special guest today, along with former Lowell Mayor Bill Samaras. He's also our Daily Pulse sponsor. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, or a commercial property, Ray Booten is your man. He's had over 3 decades of experience, both as a real estate agent and as an appraiser. Find him online, realestaterayBooten.com. I also want to thank our friends at WellPoint for hosting us here in the WellPoint studios. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Washington Savings Bank, banking that goes the extra mile. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, TMI Cares, managing and developing their own properties for over 30 years. Find your perfect space with TMI. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to generations of families throughout Greater Lowell and Southern New Hampshire since 1925. And by the Greater Lowell Community Foundation, improving the quality of life in our communities through strategic, impactful philanthropy. Back with Ray Booten, back with former Lowell Mayor, his worship, Bill
I love
Samaras.
Nice guy.
Yeah.
So my rich Canadian friends call him. I want to talk a little bit about politics. We got you for a few more minutes, right?
Okay.
You're ready to get in here
What
with
time
us.
you got?
It's 10:24.
Oh, we got a half hour.
Plenty
We're
of
good.
time. All right.
I'll just speed. Are there any of my friends out there that can get me out of a ticket?
So election last night, we got the weather yesterday that we were worried about getting in February, and turnout in Lowell was even lower. Imagine that for the special election, general election, than it was in the primary. I think it was slightly up in the other communities, but when all was said and done, Vanna Howard elected to the Senate to replace Senator Ed Kennedy. She will probably be sworn in today, tomorrow, whenever. It'll be coming up any day now, thereby creating an opening for her. Former Lowell Mayor and State Representative Rodney Elliott said he's not going to seek re-election. So we've got a political scene here.
Sure.
In Lowell, we're going to have a very busy September primary. Change is it. Let's first of all talk about this change. Here are the results from last night. Unofficial. All the town clerks and elections directors will have to certify them, I think, by Friday or somewhere along the way. The numbers may change by a couple here and there, but this is pretty much your result. Vanna Howard overwhelmingly winning with nearly 4,300 votes. Sam Meas, the Republican, second. Joe Espinola running unenrolled third. Vanna Howard won 4 of the 5 communities, as she did in the February primary against Rodney Elliott. The only one she lost, as was the case in February, was Drake, which went for its hometown boy, Joe Espinola. Much bigger turnout in Drake, by the way, than last time. But still, you kind of look at those numbers. I did the percentages overnight, and it comes out to, even if you combine Espinola and Meas, Vanna Howard won 58-42 in an election where less than 5% of Lowell, her home city, showed up to vote. Is she there now for as long as she wants to be, or does she have, as some have speculated, she has some work to do to worry about a potential primary opponent in September and then a unified opposition instead of 2 people splitting the votes in November in a much higher turnout gubernatorial election?
I don't see a candidate right now that can really unseat her, but she still has to work hard as if she was really brand new to the whole scene. I think there's going to be higher expectations for her as a senator. And
she's one of 40 now instead of one of 160,
that's right?
Right?
But she'll do it. But the issue is, I think after this year, she might have a candidate this time, but I don't see anybody of consequences really even thinking about it.
Yeah, I look for the sake of democracy. I hope that she can get a challenger, and that the Republican Party can somehow come up with a way to contest elections here. One party rule, I think we can all agree, probably doesn't work. But that aside, I if I were inclined to do, I wouldn't run again. I don't see how she loses.
Do you really think a Republican has a better chance than somebody going against her head to head as a Democrat?
No, I think she's. I think if she's in danger, she's in danger perhaps on the Democratic side. But she's pretty left in her policies and the bills that she talks about and promotes and co-sponsors and whatnot. I mean, if somebody's going to run at Vanna Howard from the far left, I'm not sure I want to know that. That's like really.
That's real left.
Like how far left can you go? I think she's there for as long as she wants to be.
I think she's got a lot of strength in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, she does. She is where the Democratic Party is today. It's time for old school Democrats to realize that it's not that party anymore.
But I also know her personally. I've known her 15 or 20 years. We have mutual friends, and she's a nice person. Like, she's likable. She's nice. She's kind. So that's
a common statement.
But even if you're not loving her, I was scared with this travel bill about, me for mileage. I'm going to Somerville this afternoon back, and I'm going back on Friday for another showing. I don't want to worry about that, but I like her. Like, she's always been a genuinely nice person. Happy, she sees you when she smiles, makes you feel so. So on top of
I've disagreed with a number of her issues very vocally, but we always have very cordial.
So she has that also.
Which is how it should be, by the way.
She's approachable. So anybody that does have an issue, I think she'll be compassionate to help them. And, what happens at the State House, great. But when your family member needs a handicap placard, you're going to feel comfortable calling her to say, hey, I'm getting held up 30 days. Can you make a call? And you're going to get those type of constituent services. And I think she enjoys doing that, too. Right.
So one more time, there are your results. Congratulations to Vanna Howard on her victory and her ascension to the Senate from the State House. Congratulations as well. Sam Meese, not a bad showing for a guy without a lot of money. A guy who had to get a sticker campaign just to get in the district. And he had that Lawrence address on the ballot. So not a bad showing. Joe Espinola, not bad for an unenrolled, right?
Yeah.
He didn't have a base. Some people go to the ballot and they'll vote strictly D or strictly R. Yeah. Joe had the U or the I, however they put it on the ballot, and he did okay. He won Drake. It was a good campaign. It wasn't contentious or nasty at all. It certainly much more low-key than the primary between the two of them. So now we have a situation where Tara Hong is the dean, or going to be the dean of your State House delegation after Rodney Elliott steps down in next January, assuming Tara Hong wins his race against 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲. Not a guarantee. We've got Tara Hong versus 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲 in the 18th Middlesex District. In the 17th Middlesex District, Vanna Howard seat, we now have an open race, and the names of some have already come out. And I'm hearing some big ones, thinking Drinkwater, Leahy, Kim Scott, who knows how many others. And now we also have the 16th is now open. You told me, you lied to me on February 4th. You told me Rodney Elliott, he's going to keep going. He's not going to give it up.
Oh, I was surprised.
I'm going to say, I don't want to say I told you so, because Lord knows I'm wrong more than anybody on the planet. I just had a hunch that he just wasn't going to, once he lost that Senate election, I didn't think his heart was going to be in it again for another battle. And he was going to have a battle. He's got a very active challenge from the left.
That was a battle. And the left, there is a big movement with the left. No question about that.
I thought he would have easily won re-election. I mean, I haven't heard one person say that Rodney hasn't been there doing constituent services and helping people on the ground. So I would have been surprised if he may have had a challenger. I'm not sure that challenger would have made a difference.
But it was still it would have still been a race, and knowing him, he would have still run hard. He gotta get.
She's gotten herself into a circle in Lowell that is going to that is going to turn out. And Rodney Elliott had to work to win that seat, to much of our surprises in 2022 against 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲. He was going to have to work to win that race against Lorena Betts. I actually think for her, her best case scenario would have been a one-on-one shot against Rodney Elliott. I think now with him out of it, now you're going to see some other people come in, and maybe even people more established from the left who might kind of nudge her aside. Again, that remains to be seen. She's working it. I know that much. So let's talk about some of the names.
Do you think me middle of the road, I'd have a chance of? No, don't even bring it.
Well, so I was going to say,
good.
your name keeps popping up. You served on the Greater Lowell Regional High School Committee. Your name popped up in 2022 as somebody who would consider it. You said your wife would probably kill you at that time, but it's been 4 years. Maybe she's sick of you now and wants you out of the house even more.
But you've been involved. You know that.
Yeah. You know the district. You know Lowell politics. Hell, you know Chelmsford politics.
Yeah. Would I love to do it? Absolutely. Like, remember the Michael Keaton movie, Multiplicity? He could be a bunch of different people. I like helping people. I ran the baseball softball league. I loved doing it. It was a labor of love. I was on the citywide parent council, Greater Lowell School Committee. And now in my job, I help people. I mean, I'm helping divorced people. I'm helping young couples, all the different ways. I'm not sure if I could, I would love to. It would be something absolutely incredible to do, but
which you've said, so that the fire is in there, Booten. Why?
I just don't know where I would fit that time in, like, to do it, because
you'd have to cut back on your real estate.
They say it's part-time.
It's a change of life.
It's 30 hours part-time, 35 hours. It is, and I would love to, but I don't. Yeah. Plus the dull butter knife to the heart that I was threatened with. Just kidding.
She'd be there supporting you all the way.
She would. She said that. She said, if you do this, that's fine, but understand, we're going to spend less time together. And now is the time when our kids are older. We had amazing time on vacation. You know, I'm going in a few weeks up to Portland, Maine for the weekend. Would I be able to do that if I was a city councilor?
No.
Sure.
Oh, no, a city councilor. Sorry.
State rep.
Danny, you got nothing to worry about.
No, any of the
But a state rep,
positions.
it's hard.
All right. So Ray Booten.
So who else is?
Danny Rourke said, I'll consider it. I'm not sure. Corey Robinson, the two Lowell City Councilors from Pawtucketville and Secondville.
Either of them, if they weren't running against each other, would be a shoo-in. With their base, well, you say with their base of support, I think they would do very well.
I think those two would be favorites.
Yes.
Corey Robinson did say to me, if Danny Rourke runs, I would actually support him. So
Corey just wants Danny off, and Danny just wants Corey off. There's my vote for mayor, right?
So then, if they don't run, and we'll start to learn quickly, because you got to go pull paperwork.
I think you're going to hear today and tomorrow.
Right.
We've got St. Patrick's Day breakfast coming up too.
That's right. You've got to take advantage of that.
What day is that on? Is it on a Saturday?
Well, it's on Saturday the 14th. Yes, but we will do a live St. Patrick's Day show here, and
I'll have to listen to
with
it.
Doing some.
Are you going to do it from there?
No, we're going to do it from here. Stand-up comedy routines with Batch here and others. So
all right,
all right. So Danny Rourke, Corey Robinson, big names. If not them, I've heard Ben Opara. I've heard George Prokop, and everybody says, "Oh, George Prokop would be fantastic."
Good guy.
Except everybody tells me he's probably not going to run.
Yeah. Ben Opara and George.
Can Ben win that election?
He's with the right help. He would have a chance.
Ben's lost city council races and school committee races.
But
I don't think he's won an election.
But there were low-key elections. You really got to run.
Didn't Tara Hung run for city council?
No, I don't believe he did.
He wasn't?
I believe he went straight to the state rep job.
So, I mean, it can happen. It depends who runs. All
right. So, any other name? Am I missing any? I've Ray Boone. I've said Deb Forgione.
You mentioned Deb Forgione. I just did a deal with Deb Forgione. She's a real estate agent, a great real estate agent. She's an excellent agent, especially with new construction. I don't know if she would ever consider that.
She'd be a name. She's very well known in the Pawtucketville neighborhood. I threw Danielle McFadden out, and I think she wanted to throw me out the window.
I was going to say, she's just happy to be on the school committee.
I think she would be a formidable candidate.
100%. After Danny and Corey, as far as votes, well-known, integrity, someone that, you would trust. And again, what Vanna has, Danielle has, that compassion, that willing to help. You're not afraid to go to them for something. She would be great.
All right, let's go to the 17th, your district.
Bill,
Anthony
you running?
Late's already in the
Can
race.
I ask Bill if he's running?
Well, yes. So there we
Bill, are you running?
I mentioned Drinkwater. I've mentioned Leahy. Bill Samaras. You're going to rule it out again?
I don't think so.
He would get the butter knife to the. Although she was mad at you last week for not coming in the blizzard to do the show with you. She wanted you out of the house.
I think so. Yeah.
After 3 days of being locked in the house with you, she was sick of you.
Yes, I mean she very supportive of me being out of the house.
All right. Well,
the thing is,
who do we watch up there?
People bring up Drinkwater, but Drinkwater would have ran for the Senate if he really wanted it.
Unless he looked at it and said, well, it would be a knockout drag out with Vanna Howard. What if I don't get in that? And then if she, if I run for her seat, she would help support me or whatever.
But his position,
is that a possibility? You know that neighborhood.
But his position, I strongly believe he would have run for that if he wanted to.
Okay.
But the issue is all the other names and more will come up.
Leahy?
Yeah, I think so.
Corey Belanger had thought about it, said the last time I talked to him, I think he's realized that's not an avenue for him. Anthony Late, the Professional Firefighters Union, he's from Lowell. He's already in the race. He got in there officially. He jumped in. Dan Finn?
Well, he did very well. And,
in the one neighborhood, Belvedere,
And that
can he translate that to South Lowell, downtown, part of Tewksbury? And by the way, I do have to correct myself. So I was talking yesterday about there's a candidate who has pulled OCPF paperwork, lives on Smith Street. Smith Street that runs between Chelmsford and Westford. Yeah. Smith Street is in that part of Smith Street is in Vanna Howard's district, in the 17th Middlesex district. So that candidate can run in that race. So there are two. So there are now two declared candidates in that race.
Yeah. But I think, Finn has a large family citywide too. Yeah. And that would help him.
So it's Lowell's highest turnout district. Belvedere is part of that 17th Middlesex district. You're going to see some names in there, I would imagine. I think the only one who might keep the field low is Drinkwater, though. Yeah. I think if Drinkwater gets in, he's a formidable enough candidate that other than Anthony Lade and maybe a couple of others, I think he maybe
he knows how
big
to
names.
He knows how to run hard. Yeah. He knows how to go door to door and what have you.
He's won citywide races, very strong in that neighborhood as part of those races. He also ran for that Senate seat again, which he knocked doors in that neighborhood. So and came very close. I mean, he almost beat Ed Kennedy.
Strong support from the union.
Yeah, union support. Although that would be to have a John Drinkwater, Anthony Late head-to-head race, two union guys.
Who's more union?
Who's more union? Yeah. Forget the 25% residency required, 99.99% residency required. But anyway, all I know is, Bill Samaras, you and I are going to have a lot to talk about. Even now that this special, I thought we could exhale for a little after the special election. So. Hell no. No. Speaking of exhaling, is our Lowell City Council broken? Is it divided to the point where it's now going to be nonstop weekly squabbles rather than working together and rowing in the same direction?
There's just maybe, everybody's not that way at this particular point, but some are fighting back because of being challenged. Let's put it that way. There's more people being challenged than usual.
Last night's city council meeting, the senior center thing came up again because of a move to get an outside counsel, contentious back and forth on the council floor. And Ryan Gilday wrote a recap this morning on his Government Was Happening, the Lowell Citizen. Please go read it. But he basically brought up the question, and Councilor Kim Scott said it last night. If you don't trust the city manager, if you don't trust the solicitor, then say so and move on. Because ultimately, that's what I'm seeing. There are people on that council, and they're now speaking openly, including freshman councilor Sean McDonough has basically said, no, I think the manager's office is interfering in the legislative business of the city council. He said that on a radio interview this morning. He's put his cards on the table, which I appreciate.
I don't know if he's put his cards on the table. He's just critical of almost everything. It's going to be interesting to see where he draws the line. But the
He
issue,
clearly has no respect for the solicitor or his opinion.
But, okay,
he's not alone in that.
but if I
which
was-
also means you probably don't trust the manager's
No,
judgment
but,
for picking that solicitor and taking his recommendation.
no, let's go back to what they've all been talking about. Okay, if I was on the city council, all right, what would I expect from the city solicitor? The one thing I wouldn't expect from the city solicitor is to have him come in and bang his fists on his chest and say, we can go to court and it'll be a tough battle, but we'll win. No matter what it costs, we're going to fight the fight. If you get 5 lawyers in a room, you're going to get 5 opinions in most cases about things. All right, and the issue is what I would expect from the city solicitor is to give an opinion that would protect the city, and that's what you have to do. You have to protect the city from if they have to know the difference between you're going to go to court and it's an absolute victory, or you're going to go to court and you're going to be fighting for your life.
You know, there are people in that city council who want to fight this senior center ownership thing,
For what
regardless of what they've been told.
For what reason?
Because they feel the city's getting screwed. Somebody made a promise, and now that person, for whatever reason, is not living up to that promise. And despite the fact that multiple attorneys have said, who specialize in that field, say no, they want to go get a title attorney, right? And as Ryan Gilday pointed out, as he called himself, a whore, and then he crossed it out and put a lawyer. If you pay me enough, I'll tell you what you want to hear. So if they want to find an attorney that tells them, yeah, go to court because you're going to win this case, they'll be able to find one.
Or they can find a law firm that they're going to pay not $1,000, but probably $2,000 to $5,000 an hour for their help and their real expertise.
Sure.
And that's still not a guarantee. The issue is it's a muddled type of situation. But the thing is, at some point, you got to sit down and say, okay, let's cover our losses. Where are we at this particular point? And what's best for the city? And how can we come out of this in a reasonable fashion?
That's how I would
without
approach it.
hurting
But
the city.
I'm not sure. There may be 5, maybe 6. What I heard from Councilor Rita, and I went back this morning and I watched that part of the discussion. I think Councilor Rita Mercier, she wants to at least talk to an outside attorney to see what they think. She challenged the solicitor, telling him, you're not a title deed expert and you don't have one on your staff. So let's hear what one has to say. So I'm going to be honest with you guys at this point. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, hire it. It's only what's it going to be? 80, 20,000, 80,000, 100,000. You're going to lose in court. You're going to have to pay a couple of million in back rent. If that's the will of the council, go for it, guys.
But what about the taxpayers?
but
it's not the will of the taxpayers.
Well, because then the taxpayers, depending on, maybe they win the case. Maybe they win the case and you're a hero to the taxpayer.
I'll bet you a
Or
beer
you
they
lose
don't.
the case and a taxpayer says, man, that was kind of reckless with my money. And now you have to live with it.
7 years from now?
I don't have to face the voters. Manager Tom Golden nor Corey Williams, Solicitor Corey Williams have to face the voters, right? The councilors will. And so I'm of the mind is, if that's the majority, let them have their way.
The thing is, if I didn't see the meeting last night, but if Rita just asked the question of, well, just let's get an outside expertise.
But
That's seeking.
But you have one, though. You also have KP Law, which the city can go to and has gone to, but apparently they're beholden to the manager as well. So they're not going to give you a quote-unquote independent opinion. This is the wording of the folks who are pushing to get an outside counsel.
I mean, then if you have that, then the whole system's broken.
Which my question at the very beginning, is this council broken? They're divided 5-5, 6-5, and they have spent so much time fighting an issue where multiple attorneys, their own attorneys, other attorneys, the Register of Deeds, everyone has kind of told you, you may not own this building and you may not win this case. They've explained to you why. They've also explained to you why certain language that we thought was a mistake or corruption, why it was intentionally omitted to not create a situation of bank fraud, if you read Richard Howe Jr.'s Substack. So the information is all out there, and yet we're still fighting over this. There's so many other things to do in the city. So I'm honestly, I'm of the mind is let them. It's their money. They're going to have to tell somebody they're going to lose a job when it's budget time because they decided to spend 20, 40, 50, 80,000, whatever that number is, to pursue this case. And by the way, if they win it, great. Isn't that good for the city?
but-
I mean, we'll own a building that I'm not sure we can afford to pay for.
I
But
was going to say, how many repairs do we need to do for it? So first of all,
But
before
if you
we-
just finish off with saying they're starting to personalize their attacks, and once you start doing that, you lose control. Because the thing is, you go home and Teddy said that about me.
Yep.
Okay,
There are people who don't like each other. They're openly sniping in media. They're now
coming
openly
back.
sniping on
the radio,
the
they're
council
like, no.
floor. They're calling themselves liars or calling
Bill,
each other liars.
excellent point. You're 100%, and that's got to stop. Having been an elected official, it can get personal. It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So they divided, yes. Are they broken? Maybe. Let's see what happens. I would like to first say Corey Williams is a real estate attorney, was a real estate attorney, does understand this. Krista Lynn Emerson, who did the work on your show to show what was happening, excellent. Her synopsis. I'm a real estate agent. I'm a real estate appraiser. I've looked at deeds. I've been involved in the purchase and sale agreement. And nominee is a huge one that we do for all of my people that have trust. And nominee, and it needs to have that. They're separate. Teddy Panos is different than Teddy Panos LLC. Those are separate entities and organizations. It's pretty simple to me that this is what happened. There was a mistake done 25 years ago. I don't see any way. And when you said about 5 attorneys have 5 different opinions, the 3 of us are the same way. We have different opinions. But I think ultimately a good attorney is going to tell you what Attorney Emerson had come on your show to state. Why is there nobody jumping out to come on your show to say, no, here's case law to show you that something like this happened before, and this is why it was remedied the way it was? Because there isn't.
I'll put the invitation out there again. If you are a real estate attorney or even a title deed attorney or whatever, come on out here. I'm willing to listen to somebody who says, yeah, you're going to win this case because of X, Y, Z. I'll put them on. I'll have a debate with somebody. This is what we just want to get the information out there so taxpayers can know and not make, and not have personal decision made, but have them made on whatever the information is out there with the best intention of the city. But to date, nobody has come forward. Until they do, I have to believe that what I was told by Attorney Emerson and what Register of Deeds Howe wrote
A brilliant guy.
are going to stand, by extension, what Solicitor Williams told you and what I think Manager Golden believes, even though he said, hey, listen, if they want to go to court, we'll go to court. We don't care. We'll fight it.
What's the will of the council?
Right. What's the will of the council? Yeah. Which is smart. Put it in their lap. Let them take the responsibility. If this goes bad, if it goes good, they're going to get all the credit.
Yeah. But I think Councilor Duran, who's an attorney, had said she just wanted a better lease. I think she voted against it because she didn't like the particulars of the lease. I would hope that with her knowing contracts and understanding entities, that corporations or LLCs are corporations and entities, she would understand that from everything I see. I don't have anybody and the other thing I'll say is when you go to a cardiologist, they have years of training to be a cardiologist. When you go to an orthopedic, they have years. I did that on purpose.
No, that's look. I use that analogy. My wife is a cardiac nurse practitioner, but if I'm looking,
you get your attorney.
Right, she's a medical expert, but she doesn't know podiatry.
But you become an attorney, and that's it. You don't have specializations as an attorney through schooling. Now you may work as an attorney. What is the litmus test they would do to say, oh, this is an expert in title work?
But my question is, how are they ever going to decide on who the outside counsel is? I'm looking at a broken counsel that can't even admit to basic facts. They're calling each other liars at this point. We know this. Everybody knows it at this point.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. But this is the environment that you are now.
It's a hurtful environment.
So how are you ever going to agree? Like, okay, let's say the manager says, yeah, we can find $50,000 for you. Go get an attorney. Okay. Now you got to pick who that attorney is. You think that's not going to be a contentious process there? And one other thing. This is a budget. This is a money issue, right? Do you need 6 votes to authorize that money, or do you need 2/3? I'm going to go to you, the parliamentarian.
I think it's 2/3.
So
really?
You would need 8 votes. Yeah. So there's another hurdle where this is where this is coming from, right?
But they have to be very careful because the budget, once it's done, it's the city manager's budget. It's not their budget. The city council can't say we're going to spend the money this way.
He can find it for
They
them,
could,
right?
they could make a
but the
motion to move from one account to another if it's a legal account or not.
They can, but they have to be careful how they
Yeah.
do it and what they do.
Oh, I'm sure. So if the city solicitor says this is how you can move the money and you can do this,
right.
are they going to trust him on that?
Well,
You know, the guy's doing a great
listen,
job.
Ryan Gilday pointed that out in his article. They want a motion, so they passed the motion. And by the way, a lot of people voted yes who will vote no on hiring the attorney, but they voted yes to have the manager present to them a path for how you would hire an independent counsel.
Yeah.
You know who's going to write that report?
City solicitor.
The city solicitor who they don't trust. So it's
Yeah.
I just either way I really think this council needs to find its footing and find a way to get past whatever grudges exist, whatever contentious situation is left over from the mayor, vice mayor votes or whatever, and start to work together for the better of the city and stop dividing the city, because you see it on social media. The city is now divided. Everybody was jumping in early in this discussion about the city's getting screwed. They're giving away this property to a crooked millionaire. First of all, they're naming the wrong millionaire, which was a horrific thing to me. But no, they're not just giving it away. They're getting advice, and it's somewhat sound legal advice. Yeah. Maybe you never know what a judge rules. You never know what a jury rules. But it's not unreasonable advice what they were given from the solicitor, and yet we're at a point now where we can't even trust the city manager or the city solicitor.
Show me the case.
But I'll go back to saying the city solicitor.
All right. I know Ray has to run, so we're going to let you go. But I do want to keep Bill Samaras a little bit longer.
Good to see you, Bill.
Thank
you, everybody.
I'll remind everybody you're tuned into the Daily Pulse, the show that keeps its finger on the pulse of Lowell and the world around it. It's Wednesday, March 4th. Back with former Lowell Mayor Bill Samaras.
Well, just back to, they said the city solicitor is going to be asked to do the test. But the city solicitor is going to be cautious about how he does it. I mean, what's the expectation? I've seen it in the past, though, when either members of the city council, members of the school committee, or members of various administrations, and I've talked to some, and I remember talking to one school administrator saying, well, I have a friend and I talked to the city solicitor of Worcester, and this is what it is. I said, you got the opinion from the city of Worcester? City solicitor? Yes. It's absolutely right. I said, what are you going to do?
Well, that's the phase that we're at now. We're looking at Cambridge, we're looking at Worcester, but we're not looking
what are you
at
going to
Lowell.
do? What are you going to do with that finding? How are you going to bring it up and say, this is what I'm going to recommend for the city based on nothing from our own city, nothing from our own departments? I mean, when things like that happen, people get hurt.
Ultimately, you've been in this situation. You've been in situations where councils change because of elections, and ultimately the sentiments about whoever the manager is at the time change, right? Bernie Lynch saw what was coming in 2013, and first meeting of 2014 said, I'm done. I'm out.
If you take a certain stand, I mean, I took a certain stand in high school that would help me and hurt me. I took a certain stand. I took the stand on the voting situation because I felt we had to do this to save money. That hurt me, big time. But you, in your career, you have to make a decision. How do you want to end it, so to speak, or how do you want to perform? If you can live with it, that's the way I feel that you should do.
Are we at an inflection point here? On this council, the manager has to either determine, all right, it's going to be a different kind of council. It's going to be a different weekly dynamic. Yeah. Either I'm sick of this and I'm out, or I'm okay. I'll do whatever they tell me, and we'll make the best decisions that they tell me to make for the city.
The thing is, the environment's changing. I mean, the one thing, it's just not one. I think you're seeing candidates in waiting now, people who almost won, very extreme left. Okay, several of them. There's some extremes out there
see,
that will change, not because of personality, not because they don't like the city manager or they don't like the council. It's their beliefs. So belief systems are changing, and that's difficult to work with.
That's my biggest concern is ultimately, I think these are good people who care about the city. They disagree with each other, but they disagree with me on some issues.
Yeah.
We agree on some.
Yeah.
I worry about what's coming down the line, and if this council isn't united, they may drop the ball on some important things. I think to me it's ridiculous that we're spending this much time on this issue, fighting over hiring an attorney, versus like trying to get down to some of the other important business of the city, including a budget that's, if this is that contentious, imagine what the budget's going to look like.
I know. Well, let's put it this way. I like being, here with you on the podcast, but I really feel my role should be to help explain how tough it is to be a city councilor, and that all of them are there, and the feeling is they want to do well by everybody. Everybody they want to do the right thing. But what is happening, and sometimes I've got to be careful with what I say, or if you become critical of a move that they've made or what have you, but being somewhat critical, you hope it helps them think in the process of what direction are they going in. Because the thing is, they have to work together. If they don't work together, they can't win.
Actually, it's funny because you can kind of see some of the frustration from the mayor. You saw Mayor 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲 last week when we had 3 consecutive 5-5 votes because Councilor Mercier was unable to vote in him or hasn't gotten an ethics ruling or whatever. I'd be curious why she can't vote, but anyway, but she's
on the
right. But it's a volunteer position. Shouldn't she be able to vote?
But it has power. It represents.
Okay, but Councilor 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲 expressed frustration. We got a bunch of 5-5 votes here. Like this, we're never going to move anywhere unless somebody changes their position. Then you could see it last night as the sniping was happening on the floor, and then open sniping of the solicitor. He basically came in at one point and said, "Hey, this is going nowhere. Let's move on." And to which point they then moved on to other stuff. And he said, "Hey, if we're gonna ask questions of the solicitor, can we at least be respectful enough to let him answering them and whatnot?" So I think even he, who's never been one to back down from a political battle, I think he understands that disagreement is okay, discourse is okay. I think he understands what we're seeing isn't okay right now, because now it is personal. You and I disagreed horribly on 2017, right? The high school location debate. So many other people, John Leahy, the mayor's aide at the time, Jim Osis. These are people I talk to every single day. You and I sit here and do this, and we have continuously. We disagreed. We fought. The election happened. The voters spoke. And now we move on. And now we try to do the best school we can. Now, and we also look ahead to other issues.
Yeah.
I worry this council is now, there are personalities on there right now. There are people on there that dislike each other so much that I'm afraid that they might actually vote against the best interests of the city, even if deep down inside they know it's the best interest of the city. They'll go against it because there's a personal battle. That's my concern. Are you sensing the same thing?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And you've been on councils like that where that's happened. Well, you've been involved with solicitors and managers where that's happened before.
People don't understand how tense it can be, and sometimes I've been part where we've taken a 10-minute break. Going to the cloakroom, not a happy place to be. Okay.
I can only imagine what the executive sessions are like when you have a lot of time. I guarantee you that those notes that Michael Geary's typing out or whoever types them out do not capture the true spirit of what happened in that room in executive session.
Pretty much. But the thing is, what they don't get is what 2 or 3 are doing in the cloakroom, so to speak. All right. Before the
so the cloakroom is where I need to put my microphones, not in the mayor's reception room. All right. One other thing. Soon, next week, the Markley Group comes back up in the form of a data center moratorium in the city of Lowell. I spoke with a business leader yesterday who told me that they are concerned about where Lowell is going with this discussion because it's been picked up by the Boston Business Journal. And Lowell is now the city that is fighting the data center, Markley. Lowell is now the poster child for a national debate surrounding data centers. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they good neighbors? Are they bad neighbors? Are they good for the environment? Not, and whatnot. And this business person, this business leader was concerned that what message is Lowell sending out, especially in the midst of the Link project, which I thought we were uniformly agreed. It was unanimous. We love the Link project and what it's going to bring. Every single one of these companies is dealing in AI and needs that AI technology, and by extension, needs the data center to support their technologies.
The issue is really energy. That's the thing nationally that's being watched. I think it's the state of Virginia that has more AI these data centers than any place, because they've been very liberal in allowing them to build their own systems to give themselves electricity and what have you. They've got to come to some type of resolution. I mean, you're right. We need that. That is the future. But the issue is they may have to take some houses, and we have to come up with some better way to ensure that center gets the electricity that it needs.
My concern is that and always has been, and I feel bad for the neighbors who are dealing with a lot of stuff. Some of that stuff is fixable, but as you said, the energy debate that has nothing to do with quality of life of the neighbors and whatever. And that is now, to me, that is the driving force.
That's what everybody's watching.
And that's why what should be a 10-1 vote, which with Councillor Scott, the South Lowell representative, being the one no vote, but everybody else. Is it in the best interest of the city to have a company like the Markley Group in Lowell? I believe it is, because that's where the future is going. I also believe that at some point your governor is going to step in. Maura Healey has embraced AI, and she's not a drill baby driller like me. She's Maura Healey, clean energy, mass save, all this stuff. But she understands the importance of AI and how that may save Massachusetts' economy, which is struggling.
Because it's the only thing that can make the type of money to support Massachusetts, because Massachusetts is so expensive.
And create good paying jobs. Exactly. And I saw there was a post from Mayor Gitcher the other day, apparently, which I found weird. He's talking about big business trying to send letters to the council. And what I found out, it was a union who sent a letter to the councils and said, hey, what are you guys doing? Do you know how much money, how many jobs these data centers are creating for us? Union jobs, good paying jobs. And it was interesting to me because Councilor Gitcher is as pro-union as you're going to get. Mayor Gitcher, I apologize. He's as pro-union as you're going to get. But even he, because of the Markley discussion, pushed back on this union letter, which is like, at some point, Governor Healey and ultimately President Trump or whoever in D.C. is going to come in and tell Lowell, it doesn't matter what you think. Just like they did with ADUs, just like they did they're going to do to Draken and Tewksbury with MBTA zoning committees. They're going to overrule you because AI is the future of the world and the country and our economy. And ultimately, Lowell is going to get it force-fed to them, while in the process getting the reputation of screw big business, screw these kind of folks. And that's not the message we want to send out through the Boston Business Journal or anybody else who's putting out articles about Lowell being the poster child for this national debate. I don't want to be the poster child. I want to have the discussion. I want to solve it and let somebody else be the poster child.
We talked about it before, but I think the Markley Group, one of the things that they didn't do, there were a lot of small issues that they did not handle well, or they ignored, or it took a long time for them to deal with their neighbors. Okay, things that they could have cleaned up within a month or something like that lasted a long time. So those relationships were not worked on that well.
Horrific missteps.
Yes, and then I think Markley's got to be at the point saying, okay, you know what, they're off. If we take this rule of 5 houses, what have you, this does this, and this is where we're going to be. They've got to come up with a real plan, not a temporary plan to maintain what they have, but where they know where in the future where they should be. They should be able to come up with that plan on how they can work with the city to do it. It's when they came up and made the presentation, it was more of, we're happy to be here. Here's some happy employees or what have you. They didn't address, they weren't addressing issues.
My understanding is they've changed legal counsel.
Yeah.
Former counsel Bill Martin is no longer representing them. I'm told former city manager John Cox is representing the Markley Group. Now, does that help? Does it hurt? Given that John Cox was the city manager during the senior center lease.
Well, both, Billy Martin, is a good lawyer in that area. John Cox, I think they're looking, the thing is, I would say to John Cox, to Bill Martin, what you've got to come in, you can't just sell it one way and say, we're this, we're good guys, do this for us. They got to come in and say, we're good guys, this is what we've been doing, this is how we can make better neighbors, this is how we can do it. It's got to be a complete presentation. The first presentation wasn't a complete presentation.
All right. So much going on politically. Yep. 3 very contested state rep races, maybe even another, some rematches or more contested state senate races, and a Lowell City Council that I'm worried is teetering on the edge of being counterproductive.
I mean, look where the country is at this particular point. It's
you said that right at the very beginning. I said, why wouldn't Lowell end up like this? Because the country's there.
Yeah, that's our problem right now.
All right.
Okay.
We'll end it there. Former Lowell Mayor Bill Samaras, empty chair that used to be occupied by Ray. He couldn't turn it properly around. He had to just.
I just realized that.
He had to turn his back to you. Like, oh, my Lord, Putin, what's going on? Anyway, thank you. We'll talk to you next week, and thank you for tuning in to the Daily Pulse one more time, the show that keeps its finger on the pulse of Lowell and the world around it. Tomorrow, the sheriff is paying me a visit. No, he ain't arresting me, folks, although I never leave out that possibility. Middlesex County Sheriff Peter 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲 will be here. Lots going on in his department. We'll talk about that with him as well. A lot of it affects us here in Lowell, so we'll get into it with him. And then, of course, on Friday, we go live at 10 a.m. with the Pod Squad. They'll be here. Batch and Michaela, and the hyphen, as we call her. She'll be here with our friend Mike Bacigalupo, and we'll talk about all sorts of stuff, including much of today's discussion, and Lord knows where else it will go. Till then, everybody, please stay safe. Be careful of icy spots out there. I know there's melting going on during the day today, overnights and whatnot. Be icy. Just be safe, stay warm, and we will see you on the other side.